You do not lack capability. You do not lack effort. But there is one thing you do every single day, something so small, so familiar, that you no longer recognize it as a choice, and that very thing is keeping you exactly where you stand. Not your boss, not the system, not luck, but you, a version of you operating completely on autopilot. And the strange thing is, the people who are held back the longest are often not the worst performers in the room. They are the ones who do the most, who reply to emails the fastest, who never say no when given extra work, who are always there when needed. And because of that, the organization needs them right in that exact spot, not because of any conspiracy, but because the system is designed to maintain what is already working well. You are a perfect cog, and perfect cogs are not replaced, they are kept in place. But what you haven't realized yet is, the very behaviors making you reliable are also the ones invisibly confirming that you do not need to go any further than where you are. Perhaps you have felt this before. You sit in a meeting, watch someone's name get brought up for a new opportunity, and you think, I do more than them. I stay later. I complain less. So why not me? And then you brush that thought aside because you don't want to be the kind of person who compares, because you believe that if you just do good work, results will naturally follow, because someone once told you, just keep your head down and work, and you will be recognized. But year after year, you are still sitting in the same spot. Maybe a slight pay raise, maybe an extra line in your title, but fundamentally, you are a good employee, and you will continue to be a good employee. That feeling is not a failure, and it is not irrational. It is the natural result of a set of behaviors that you have repeated long enough for them to become your identity. You no longer do these things because you choose to. You do them because you don't know you have another choice. And the most remarkable thing is, these behaviors do not look like problems. They look like virtues. What you are rarely told straight to your face is, the modern corporate environment does not hold you back with cruelty. It holds you back with recognition. You are the pillar of the team. Without you, this project wouldn't run. We deeply appreciate your contribution. Those are not compliments. They are maps of positioning. They are drawing your location within the system and confirming that you should stay there. The corporate system is not designed to lift you up. It is designed to operate stably. And stability means keeping intact what is running well. When you always deliver on time, the system learns that you can be given more. When you never set boundaries, the system learns that you don't have boundaries. When you always solve problems in silence, the system learns that you don't need to be asked. And gradually, your image within the organization is shaped not by your ambition, but by what you have proven you are willing to endure. This is not a conspiracy. No one sits in a locked room deciding to hold you back. This is how organizations operate by inertia. The person who gets promoted is the one who is seen in a certain way. And if you never change how people see you, that image will not change on its own. The real problem is not that you lack capability.
The problem is that you are accidentally transmitting the wrong signal. A signal that says, I'm fine here, I don't need more. I am the person you can rely on in this position. And the organization, completely logically, believed you. But the real question is not, why does the system do that? The real question is, why do you let it happen? And the answer lies much deeper than willpower or effort. The first mechanism, you are rewarded for compliance. From very early on, in school, in the family, you learned that the person who gets praised is the one who does exactly what is requested, the one who doesn't complain, the one who is always ready. The brain remembers that and keeps repeating it, not because you are weak, but because it is a learned survival mechanism. The second mechanism, emotional safety, is tied to being needed. When you are indispensable to the team, you possess a certain kind of safety. You know your place. You know you have value. That feeling is much more comfortable than the uncertainty of stepping into a territory where no one knows who you are, and subconsciously, you choose to stay where you are known. The third mechanism, you confuse busyness with progress. When your calendar is full, the brain creates the illusion that you are moving forward. You send emails, attend meetings, complete tasks. But looking back after a year, where are you standing compared to a year ago? Not in terms of workload, but in terms of direction, in terms of leverage, in terms of how people see you. The fourth mechanism, you are afraid of being seen making a mistake. One of the deepest reasons people don't self-propose, don't speak up with their opinions, don't claim space, is the fear of judgment. If I speak up and I am wrong, how will I look? If I ask for a promotion and get rejected, what does that say about me? And so, you don't speak, you don't ask, you wait. And waiting, when there is no deadline, becomes a habit called patience. After observing the corporate environment long enough, there are behavioral patterns that repeat over and over in talented people who do not advance. It is not accidental, and it is not their fault. But it is not invisible either. The first behavior, you solve problems before anyone even sees them. You spot a flaw in the process, you fix it yourself. You see a risk coming, you quietly handle it. The result? Everything runs smoothly. No one knows what you did. And precisely because no one knows, no one can recognize, evaluate, or think of you for a larger role. You are working in invisibility, and invisibility does not get promoted. The second behavior, you ask questions instead of stating perspectives. In meetings, you ask to understand. That is good. But if you only ask and never assert, then you are positioning yourself as someone who needs things explained, not someone with a perspective to contribute. The person who gets promoted is usually the one who dares to say, "I think we should do this," even when they are not 100% certain. The third behavior, you agree just to avoid conflict. You don't like a tense atmosphere. You find that agreeing is often easier and takes less energy. But when you always agree, people stop waiting for your perspective, and they begin to take it for granted that you will execute, not direct.
The fourth behavior, you wait to be invited instead of self-proposing. You think, if I am good enough, the opportunity will come on its own. But opportunities do not work that way. Opportunities come to the person the decision maker is already thinking of when a new position opens up. And to be thought of, you need to have spoken, proposed, and claimed enough space to leave an impression. These behaviors do not look like problems. They look like politeness, like humility, like professionalism. And that is exactly why they are so hard to recognize until you look back and ask yourself, why am I still here? And if you pull the camera back a little further, you will realize this is not just your story. There is a generation of employees who were taught that doing good work would get them recognized, taught that loyalty would be rewarded, taught that the virtue of a worker is silence and diligence, and they did exactly that for years. But the world in which those rules were written no longer exists. In the modern workplace, the person who gets promoted is not necessarily the one who does the most. It is the one who is seen in the right way, in the right conversations, at the right time. And when a system rewards strategic visibility over quiet hard work, then those who are taught to be silent and work will always lose in that game. Not because they are incapable, but because they are playing by the rule book of a completely different game. There are so many people right now who are not actually building their careers. They are managing their daily tasks. They are reacting to requests. They are existing within the system instead of navigating it. And what is remarkable is, most of them know something is wrong. They just don't have the language to name it. But recognizing all of this does not mean you have done something wrong. You did the best you knew how, with what you were equipped with, in an environment that never clearly explained the real rules of the game. The mistake, if any, is not that you worked hard. The mistake is that you assumed hard work would speak for itself on your behalf. But organizations do not operate on assumptions. They operate on clear signals. And if you haven't sent that signal yet, then no one knows you want more. What needs to change is not the effort, but what you do with that effort, and who sees it. This is not advice for you to become more calculating. This is an invitation for you to begin building awareness of the behaviors that you are doing completely on autopilot, and ask yourself, are they truly serving you? If what we just said touched something inside you, perhaps that is a sign worth exploring further. The next videos will dive deeper into each mechanism and how to start changing them, one small step at a time. You can subscribe so you don't miss them, or just stay a little longer with what you just heard. That is enough too. There is a moment, usually a very small one, when you sit alone after work and a fleeting question passes through your mind. What am I actually building here? Not a question of despair, but the question of someone who is beginning to see the gap between where they are standing and where they once thought they would be. That gap is not a failure, it is information. And the first person who needs to read that information is not your boss, is not HR, is not anyone in the organization, but you. Thank you for staying until the end. See you next time.